Next up is puzzle number 57. So in this puzzle, we have 2 rooks and he have 2 rooks. We have 3 pawns and the opponent have 4 pawns. This pawn is almost queening. So if this rook isn't here, we can actually take this pawn and escape this way. This is a pass pawn, so it's pretty dangerous. Let's look at the opponent's weaknesses or threats that we can make. So we can swing our rook over here. This is 1 check, 2 check, 3 checks. If we move our rook to e8, by the way, I rook on a to carve out the second rank, so the opponent cannot move back. And so the opponent have pretty much this square or this square to move to. So I'm just going to highlight all the square that the opponent's king cannot go to. And if the opponent decides to go toward the right, he can kind of go here and harass our rook, come here, take the pawn, potentially help it promote. If the opponent decides to go to the left, our attack kind of fizzled out because our rook cannot go in to e4 or e5 or e3 without being taken by either their pawns or his king. We could give the king a check by pushing our pawn to g5, but then the opponent's going to take it and he's going to come closer to our king, and this looks pretty dangerous, pretty close to checkmating on our side of the board. Them checkmating us, not us checkmating them. So I don't like the idea of the rook swing over to e8. But what I do like is the rook going to a3. Because normally in this kind of position, if you have pawns in the center, the opponent's king is in the center, and one of your rook is covering his behind, then you can coordinate the pawns and the rook to checkmate the king. So in order to checkmate the king, this doesn't work because the king have escape square, right? So we have to prevent the king from coming forward. And to do that, we need to blockade this square here, because this pawn already blockading the white square. So what I'm seeing is that this pawn can potentially blockade the f4 square. And let's say the opponent makes some random move like going here or maybe going here. We can just rip in and this is checkmate because I will go here and here. And the king have no more escape squares. Now let's look at how the opponent may potentially counter our threat. So we go here. Our next move is here. In order to prevent the rook from attacking the king, this rook have to come here, be in front of the king. So if we move our rook here, he's going to move his rook here. We take, he take, and he is still up a pawn, a very powerful pawn. And his king is free to come over here and take our pawn and help it promote. But I still feel like there's a threat here if we play it right. So we put our pawn here. He put his rook here. Some of you might be thinking, why don't we put our rook on the e8 square? Well, we could, but he's going to go here. And again, like I said, our rook cannot go into the end of this square to go for an attack. So if our rook come in here onto the a3 square, he is gonna come here we could go here, but then he's gonna block with the rook. We block with we check the king with our rook. We take, we check, and he lost the rook. Right. Let's calculate this again. Something doesn't feel right. We go here. He go here. We check. So opponent cannot go into any of these squares here. And he cannot go into any of these squares here. So he go here. We go here. So now he can't go into any of these squares here. So the opponent king cannot go here as well because our pawn is blockading it. So there is only two options. The d2 square or the c2 square. But our rook cannot swing behind from the e file because the... Wait. So he can escape there. So let's say his king go to d2. Our rook on e8 cannot swing to e2 to attack the king, so we have to move back. He move forward, we go back, and this is draw. So there's no attack here. Let's say he go to this side. So let's say he go to this square here, c2. That's when our other rook can go in here. And this is when we win the rook, win their rook. But so long as the king doesn't move to the c2 square and stay on the d2 square, it's gonna be a draw, and that doesn't seem like what the puzzle require. So hence I'm gonna rule out the e8 square for the rook for now. So let's continue our original plan of doubling up the rook here. So we put our pawn here. He put his rook here. We check. The king have nowhere else to go, so he had to put his rook here. And yeah, this doesn't work. So we go here, he go here. Let's change up the order. Let's play on the other side. And if our other rook go to a3, it's very close to checkmating, except his rook can go in front, and this is nothing. I go here, he go here. We can push our pawn here, and let's say he was to go to this square, our pawn can push to f4, and his king cannot go forward. His own rook block his d3 squares, and he cannot go backward because our rook is guarding the back rank, and that's checkmate. So if we go here, he go here, we go here. The opponent's rook is not going to go to d3. So what I'm thinking of is he'll push the pawn. Then our rook go in here. His rook go here. I take the pawn. distracting the king so that he cannot touch his own rook on the d3 square. So his king take our pawn, then we take the rook. If the opponent's rook go here, we go back to the A file, maybe this square, blockade the pawn, and our other rook on d3 can go to b3 and attack this as well one day if this rook move from this square. Okay. What else can we do? So we go here, he go here. We push our pawn, threatening stuff. He can push his rook here, forcing a trade. What will I do here? So these squares are blocked. So if I push now, his king is just gonna go here. And we put our rook here. No, that doesn't work. He push our pawn. He put his rook here. We push our pawn. If he go here, I will go here, go here. This is taking this other rook. Can we just push our pawn? The king cannot go here because then he's gonna lose this rook. So the king have to go here. In which case, I'll do a check. King go here. My rook go here. Check again. And if his king move here, he's gonna lose the rook on the d2 square. If his king go here, I'll swoop in and take the other rook. But if his king go here, which he cannot go here because my rook is on here, so his king cannot go here. So either way, he's gonna lose a rook. He's gonna lose a rook whether he go on d1 or f2. f2 means he lose the d2 rook, and d1 square means he lose the h1 rook. Another line that I want to calculate is if I push the pawn here, he go here, I push the pawn, he push the pawn. If my rook go from a8 to a3, it still works because he blockade. I take, distraction, and I take the rook. So this pawn seems to be the right idea. Okay, let's try it. We do not move our rook, we involve our other pawn into the battle. Which case we move depending on where he goes. So his rook go here, as we said. There's a lot of move order in this position. If his rook go here, we just gonna go here, and that's checkmate. If we push our pawn and he go here, we go as we planned. We push our pawn still. He go here. He go here, and I will go here, and that's check. That's the plan. We're just going to execute our plan. If he go here, I will gonna go here and win this rook. So it just depends on where he want to go. Because our rook, remember, we can just win eventually by pushing the king back. Okay, let's see. Yep, our rook going here is bad because the opponent king can escape here. Our rook cannot go here. Our rook need to have the option to go to e8. You need to be flexible. So let's see where the king want to go. Okay, the king want to go there. And so we go here. Our pawn protect this. Our rook will protect here, and our rook will protect this square. So he can't come in. And now we are going to swing our rook over here. King go here, he lose this rook. King go here, and he lose this rook. Is there anything better? Not really. Here, king have only one square to go to. We take the rook, push his pawn. We go here, push his pawn. Our rook can go here, and there'll be double pawn to attack the pawn. Yeah, let's go here. And that's how you solve puzzle number 57.